Hey everybody, welcome to Shelf Control. I'm Lisa.
I'm Norm.
And today we're talking about Dinosaur World.
Better. Much better.
So this is the one, if you saw kind of our longer version about the McKay's Ultimate Road Trip, you saw that Norm picked this up in, was it Knoxville?
It was the second store that we went to.
Oh, so it was Chattanooga. So we're going to talk about it.
This is basically a worker placement game where you're building your own dinosaur park and taking people on tours through your park. You have a board where you're marking how much of the different types of DNA you have, what your threat level is based on how many dinosaurs you got, what your security level is to try and protect the people in your park, and how well developed your Jeep tour is on this board. And so this is basically just an administrative spreadsheet kind of board. And then you're also given a personal park board that has some various actions on it and cutouts where you initially slot in your
welcome center.
Welcome center, and that's where your Jeep tours are going to start. And then you get to, at the beginning of the game, draft a special building and a dinosaur paddock that houses your dinosaurs. And so we'll each get a special building, a dinosaur paddock, and then you'll place those in at your start. And so that's your starting park.
The only restriction on placement is that it has to touch an existing tile. And if you have dinosaur paddocks, they cannot be side by side.
They don't like being close to each other.
Dinosaurs don't want to be with different species of dinosaurs. So that's the only restriction as far as your placement.
You've got 3 public boards. One of them has the dinosaur paddocks that you can buy. The other ones have common attractions, a merchandise shop, a restaurant, a roller coaster, and a security building. These stacks are all the same, where these others are random. You've got a pile of special buildings, A, B, and C. They change in power and ability as you go deeper into the stack. But these are the public boards. You have your turn order, excitement level, victory point, and round tracking board. And then you have A, B, and C objectives that you're going to reveal at the start of the game. When you set up, everyone starts with 2 of the basic DNA, 1 of the advanced DNAs, and then your threat, security, and Jeep level all start at the bottom. You'll get a certain amount of cash depending on player order. I think it's 8, 9, 10, 11, something like that. You'll roll these chunky dice that come in a nice cloth bag. There's 9 of these.
Oh, are there 9?
And you'll pull out a certain number based on the number of players. I think it's 2 more than the number of players. Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's 4 for 2 players, 5 for 3, and 6 for 4. And you'll roll those, and they have different symbols of the different types of DNA on them. So we've got an orange DNA, 2 blue DNA, an orange and green, and a wild of any basic DNA that's available out there.
So the game is made up of 5 rounds, and within that round you have 5 different phases. The first phase being you're going to hire your workers. So depending on the number of players, you have your worker database deck, and you have 1 more than your number of players. So in this instance, you'll have 3 cards, and first player will choose the group of workers they want.
There are 5 different colors of workers. You've got your administrative workers that are green, your security workers that are yellow, your science guys that are blue, your park rangers that are purple, and your white just grunt workers that just do stuff.
And they have different abilities, so we'll discuss it as we go, but on the board, certain tiles require certain color workers if you want to activate them. To do private actions, different color workers will give you different things. So we'll talk about that as we go through the actions. But you have 3 cards, and I'll pick the first one, and I'll pick how many workers of these, or which particular set of workers I want.
Each card is 9 workers. So every turn you're going to get 9. It's just how are they going to be divided up amongst the colors?
There's always 4 standard workers, 4 white workers. And then the other 5 are made up of different colors, random. I'm just going to take this one, which gives me 2 purple, 2 blue, a yellow, and then 4 white. And that's going to be my starting set of workers. And then I just put this face up on the bottom of the deck so that when we get through it, we know to shuffle if we run out, and then we just start again.
And so I think I'm going to take the 3 purple, 1 green, 1 yellow, and 4 white. And so I'm not getting any science workers this turn. And so that's the first phase. You're just picking which worker you want to use that round.
And first player is determined by whoever most recently trained a raptor to respond to hand signals.
Respond to hand signal. If nobody has, then you choose randomly. But it does have a way of picking a first player.
Yep. So usually we'll just take a dice and randomly roll it, or we'll take just one of these, kind of shake them up, drop one, and I go first.
I'm still working on the raptor training, so I can get to go first in these games. But
well, we're looking for a raptor, so we're having a little bit of difficulty.
I have a friend who raises
one.
chickens, so if I can get them to respond to hand signals, then I'm down.
It doesn't count. They're not raptors.
I beg to differ.
They're not raptors. The second phase is your public actions, and it's in turn order, and that's out here on the board. So me going first, I'm going to decide what I want to do. I can either buy from the specialty, and in order to do that, I have to turn in a worker of any color, and then I have to pay the cost of the tiles. Some of these tiles do have point values on them that you would get immediately, so you want to take that into account as well. So that's one action I can do. Another one is to take one of these attractions, buy one of them. They all have different values.
And you don't have to use a worker to get one of the attractions.
Mm-hmm.
You just spend the money,
buy it
put
out.
it in. These are all the same, so once somebody buys a merchandise shop, it's not gone. There's a stack of them here.
And you can only have one of each of those in one of each period.
You can't have 2 things named the same. So you can't be like, I'm just going to fill my park with roller coasters and have the most exciting dinosaur park with no dinosaurs and just roller coasters.
And then the last set of tiles that you can buy are your actual dinosaur paddocks. So for this one, you either turn in an administrator, a green meeple, and then you pay the value of the paddock that you want, or you turn in 2 workers of any kind to get it. So it's either one green or 2 of any color, and you buy the dinosaur paddock, and then you put that in your park. Again, it can't touch another dinosaur paddock.
And they come in 3 different flavors. You've got your herbivores,
which are just green dinosaur.
You've got your small carnivores,
which are your raptors.
And then you have your large carnivores.
Your RARs. Or your T-Rexes.
They have differing point values, but they also have differing threat values. So the herbivores are not near as threatening as your large carnivores, but you won't get as many points either.
Or as much attraction or
excitement.
I can never remember that.
So it's kind of a trade-off how you're going to go there, because if you go heavy on the large carnivores, you better go heavy on your security, and regardless, when you do tours, you might take some casualties anyways.
And then your last public action that you can take is actually acquiring DNA. So you either this one's a bit unique in that you can spend as many workers as you want.
Up to 3.
Up to 3. Okay. So you can spend as many as you want. Up to 3. If you so you turn in 3 workers and you pick a die and you get that particular DNA times 3 or times whatever number of workers you throw in. up to 3. So this one I would get 3 orange and 3 green DNA because I turned in 3 workers.
If you took this one, it's a wild of any of the basics. So you would get 3 of the basic DNA in any combination, yellow, red, or blue.
And if you have a blue worker, I think that's the scientist. If you have the scientist with you, you get a bonus of whatever 1 DNA you want.
Basic or advanced.
So if you're sending 3 workers, 2 white workers and 1 blue, you get times 3 of whatever die value you pick, because you have that blue, a wild of anything you want. So that's a way to get some extra DNA.
And that dice will then get removed, so other people can't pick that die. So if there's something you really want, you might want to send somebody to get DNA right at the start. And then you might miss out on a special building you're also looking at.
So those are your public actions. And so once everybody passes, it then moves on to the next phase, which is your private actions.
And that's your private park board here. And you can do this part simultaneously because you're not picking things that other people might want or anything like that. And
hopefully you're playing with a group of people you trust to know that they're going to be honest about their private actions.
And so, the first couple times that we play with people, we'll be like, if you have any questions, want to walk through while we're watching, that's fine.
And sometimes we just like to watch to see what other people are doing. I mean, it doesn't impact you or your play, but it's nice to be supportive of each other.
So on your private board, each spot has 3 spots to put a worker.
And there's 5 different areas.
And you don't have to place them all immediately as you're doing actions. You can choose to place 1 worker here and then 1 here and then go back and place 1 here. Just working as you go. So your top location is DNA refinement. And this is where you can take the DNA that you have in your storage and manipulate it to the DNA that you need. And there's formulas here. Blue and red make purple, yellow and red make orange, yellow and blue make green. So it's your color wheel going on there. And so you can place 1 worker of any type and work that formula in either direction. So if you need a purple, you would lose 1 blue, 1 red, gain 1 purple.
If you need a blue or red,
then
you can lose a purple and gain a blue and a red. So you can do it in any combination of that particular thread.
If you send a scientist to do the work, then you'll also get 1 of the basic DNAs as a bonus. So making a purple, you could do a red and a blue to make a purple, and then with your scientist, be like, I'm going to get 1 of those blues back, or a yellow. It doesn't have to be what you worked with the formula.
And you can do that as many times as your workers placed there, up to 3.
The next is your VC funding.
What does VC stand for?
Venture capitalist, probably.
That makes sense.
So there's 3 spots labeled $3, $2, $1. You just put the worker in that spot and you get that much money. If you send an administrator to that spot, you'll get +1 money. So the first spot would give you 4 money instead of 3. Then you have your security. You put a worker there and you can move 1 up on your security.
Right. Oh no, you're in DNA.
Right here. Security.
Right here.
And it's divided into sections that are labeled $1, $2, $3, and $4. So moving up into the first spot, you put a worker there, you'll move up and you'll pay that amount. So it'll cost you $1 to move up one spot here. Going up again will cost you another $1. Then when you jump up into the $2 spot, you got to pay 2. And so every time you put a worker there, you get to move this up, paying that amount of money. If you send a security worker there, that cost is reduced by 1.
So if you put 2 yellow security people there, you get to move your security up 2. You don't pay anything because each space in that beginning is just 1. So that's a good way to get your security up without paying anything at the beginning of the game. But once you cross that $2 threshold, it's going to start costing at least something.
And once you get up to the top, you do have a token that's +10, plus 20 that you would put down here and just loop around.
But it doesn't start over again with the price being 1.
It
From
stays
then
4.
on out, everything is 4.
So, and you may want to loop your security up because your threat also has the capability of looping up to a plus 10 and plus 20. So,
Oh, it goes to 20?
yep, there's a plus 20 on the other side.
We've never had that many dinosaurs.
I got close.
Did you?
The time I
and your
lost.
security goes up to plus 22.
Yep.
So I didn't know that.
And then after that, you have your Jeep garage, and that's how you go up on the Jeep track. And they have dollar values just like the security track that you have to pay. And as you move up, if you place a purple worker there, it reduces that cost by 1.
Mm-hmm.
The Jeep track doesn't loop, but if you can get up to the top, you'll immediately get 7 points for getting that far up. And the Jeep track also has these little divots for putting out some various bonuses. So you start the game with 5 different possible bonus tiles. An advanced DNA, 2 basic DNA, $2, a meeple of whatever color you want, or the security level. And at the beginning of the game, you'll pick one because you start at level 1. And let's say I picked a worker of any color. I would immediately take whatever color meeple I want. If you go up to the second level, you'll get one of these arrows that signifies how far your Jeep can move. So your Jeep moves up from 2 movement to 3 movement. And since you moved up into the second spot, you can pick another one. So maybe I'll pick the $2 and immediately get $2. And so then there's a spot there once you get up to the 3rd level and to the 4th. So one of these bonuses you won't get that game.
Or you may not get many at all if you don't move your Jeeple up.
Yeah, if you decide that you're not doing the Jeeple route, then you may only get one or two of these bonuses. Mm-hmm. But that's also income that you get at the end of every round. Right. During income, you'll also get those bonuses.
Yep.
And so those are nice.
And the farther up you go, the more arrows you get to move your Jeeple, and like Norm said, the more bonuses.
The last thing you can do is make dinosaurs, and these are just any color of worker. There's no special bonus for putting a particular guy down,
and you can do up to 3.
And as long as you have a spot that can hold dinosaurs, each paddock can hold 4. There's some special buildings.
None are out right now.
So we don't have one out, but there might be a special attraction that can hold a dinosaur. But you have to have a spot that can hold the dinosaur. Gives you a little formula up at the top. In this case, to make a Gigantosaurus, I will need 2 yellow DNA, 1 red, 1 orange, and 1 purple. So it's pretty costly to make one of these guys.
The higher up you go on the dinosaur level, so the red being the highest threatening, they cost a little bit more DNA.
For example, the Triceratops, he starts out, it's just a purple and a blue.
I have a Brontosaurus. You just need a yellow and a blue to create him.
And so you're going to fill this up from left to right. And so if I make the Gigantosaurus, I put a worker down here. I spent the DNA that I needed to use.
And if you don't have enough of that particular DNA, you obviously can't create him.
And then I would take one of the giant carnivores, and I put him in that first rectangle, and I would immediately gain 3 threat, but 4 points. And so I just go up 4 points. At the top, these first 3 are empty in this case, but this last one shows a yellow and a blue DNA. If I want to make that 4th guy, I have to do the above formula plus that additional DNA to make the 4th one. And in this case, the first 3 are blank, but there's some like this one, pterodon.
Yeah,
where,
go ahead.
Is that the same way? Yeah, every single spot has an additional DNA to the formula that you have to pay.
So that's your private actions. And then once that's done, you move to the Jeeple tour. And that's where you've got your little Jeeple. Everyone has a welcome center. That's where he starts. and you're going to go through your park. You're going to take people on tours as far as the number of arrows you have. And you start off with 2, and then as you move your Jeeple up on your personal track, you get more arrows. So I can only go 2 spaces. So from my welcome center, I would then go into my Brontosaurus paddock. I don't have any Brontosaurus in there, so nothing happens. I don't activate that space. And then my next tile is a DN ATM. And from here, if I had placed a green worker there if I had a green worker, I would put him there, and I would immediately get 2 of any standard DNA that I want, so yellow, blue, or red. And then I can turn in, this is optional, I can turn in 2 points to get 2 of any type of DNA, whether it be standard or special. So I'm sacrificing points, but I'm getting DNA. So you weigh out if it's worth it for you.
And you can't go negative on these things, so you have to have, if it costs points to do it, you have to have the points to lose. If it costs excitement, you have to have the excitement to lose.
And each tile has a number of excitement on it. So the first time I go into this tile, if I activate it, it gives me 2 excitement.
So she'd move up 2 on the excitement track.
2 on the excitement track. And then, because I've brought my people here, the visitors here once, I am going to put right here on the pound symbol. Or no, that's a hashtag. That's a pound. Same thing. Same thing.
Hey, we've heard it both ways.
And then I'd put a number 1 on it. So that means the next time I go to this tile on my next tour and activate it, instead of getting 2 excitement, I'm only going to get 1. I'm going to get this number and subtract whatever I have on there. And then the second time I go to this tile, I'm changing this 1 to a 2. So that spot gets a little bit more boring.
If you keep showing people the same thing, they're going to be like, I've seen it. I don't care.
Been there, done that. And so this tile, once I change it to a 2, this tile now has no more excitement that it will give me. So it may not be worth me going and activating it anymore. There might be times that I still really need some DNA, so I'm going to go here and activate it, but I'm going to lose excitement. And again, I have to...
Once it goes to 3, 2 minus 3 is -1. She needs to be able to build up her excitement before she goes to that spot, so she can lose that excitement to gain the benefit. Yep.
And so once I've gone as far as my arrows will allow, my tour is over. And again, this is something you can do simultaneously as well, but we usually like to see what everyone's doing on their tours.
I found it's a whole lot easier. It says on here that you can do it simultaneous, but everyone is like gaining and losing excitement. And I found that as I'm going through, I'm moving down here and I'm gaining 2 excitement. And then while I'm going up 2, somebody is like, give me 4. And it's like, all right, I'll give you 4. And
give
then
me 10.
Like, -2. And it's like, I'm still moving to my next spot.
So we just, so for whoever's keeping tabs of the excitement and point tracks, it's easier to just do it individually. Yeah. And we also get to see what happens, and I'll let Norm explain what happens when you go to a tile with dinosaurs.
At the bottom of each of the paddocks, there's 4 different excitements shown. And that's how much excitement you'll get for each dinosaur that's there. So in this case, I've got 1 dinosaur here, and my excitement is 2, 2, 3, and 3. So since I only have the 1, it'll be 2 excitement. So I'll gain 2 excitement.
But then he puts a number 1 there.
They're a little bit bored. They've seen a Gigantosaurus before. If they see it again, it's not going to be as exciting. Then you've got a die for each color of dinosaur that's out there. Your herbivore has 2 casualty symbols on it and 4 blanks. Your medium has 2 single casualties, 1 double, and 3 blanks. And your large carnivore, like my Gigantosaurus, has 1 single casualty, 2 double casualties, and 3. So regardless of how many dinosaurs are in your exhibit, when you go there, you roll one of these dice. And
He just took 2 casualties.
2 people died on my Jeep tour. So I collect those over here.
So people are gonna die in this
People
game.
are going to die in this part.
There's dinosaurs. And even the herbivores. I mean, they're giant creatures. They're gonna kill you and not even know that they did.
You're just going to bump into the Jeep and, maybe you had your head out the window or something.
Well, you don't have a head anymore.
So that's how these work. So I've got the one boredom here. Next Jeep tour, if I go down here, it's going to be 2 minus 1. So I might want to build another dinosaur to go in here. So I add up the 2 and the 2 for 4 excitement minus the 1. So then I would get 3 excitement. But then my boredom level goes up to a 2. And it's like I need more dinosaurs to keep making this exciting. But every time I do, this gives me 3 more threat.
Because he built another dinosaur.
But I do get 7 points for building that dinosaur.
But then, again, he only rolls 1 of the red die when he goes in there to show the tour. Regardless on how many dinosaurs you have in that paddock, you just roll 1 die.
And so that's how the Jeep tour works. You're going to be going through and either showing off dinosaurs or activating locations that you pass through. So you can choose not to activate a location if you don't want to.
Right. You can just go through it if you have to get there to go to other spaces. So once you've gone as far as you can, everyone's completed their Jeep actions or their Jeep tours. Your Jeep goes back to the Welcome Center. You remove the arrows from your board. And then the next phase is income and cleanup. So that's the final phase of the round. And in this phase, again, we cleaned up. You take away all of the meeples that you have on your boards. You turn them in if you've used them. Any unused meeples stay in your...
you can carry them over.
You carry them over to the next round.
So you start with player income. You'll reset your Jeeple, and you'll gain your bonuses. So in this case, I've got a meeple of any color and 2 money. So I would get that.
I only have a security. So
she would
I
get
tend
that.
to always start with security as my first bonus because you need security.
Yeah, I've tried other things because in my head, the first few spots of security are cheap. So maybe I can benefit off the others. But it is awfully nice getting a free security every turn. And what's nice is you actually get your income from your Jeeple before you evaluate your threat. So your security will actually go up by 1 in this case to help mitigate the chaos that you've created in your park. Then you'll look at your excitement level and wherever you are. So she's at a 7. She'll get 6 money income, and I'm at a 4, so I'll get 4 money income. And you reset excitement down to 0. You got to keep the excitement going round to round. You evaluate your threat. So you'll look at your threat level. Mine's at a 6, and you'll subtract your security level, which is a 2. So I'm taking 4 casualties because I've got no security at my park.
Dinosaurs are running around willy-nilly.
So that's put me at
killing
6.
all the people.
And then any unused DNA get put back into the dice bag. And marked on the board are little trash cans for the paddocks. So the first 2 of those will go down. It'll slide and they'll refill. So we'll get another variety of that.
And on the specialties, depending on how many players there are. So in our case, there's 2 players. So you would lose 3 of them.
So the bottom 3.
In a 3 or 4 player, you just lose 2.
And then you'll just put new buildings down, so you got new options. And then this board stays the same. And then turn order will then go based off of reverse point level. So in this case...
Yeah, how do you have 11 points and I have nothing?
I bought these dinosaurs. You've got no dinosaurs.
You don't buy dinosaurs. You create.
I bought them with DNA.
That you have none of.
So
I think he's cheating.
So in this case, she would be first in turn order and then me because I'm leading. And so the turn orders can change depending on where you are in the point level.
And
then the very last thing is when you get to round 3, you move your welcome center. You flip it over from the welcome center to the park entrance, and you have to move it to a space that's 3 spots away from where it started.
If you cannot do that, which is horrible, if you cannot do it, you take a tile, probably from the discard pile,
Yeah.
and you put it face down so there's nothing to it, and then you add it to your park so that you can make your park entrance 3 away. So you want to be really careful and strategic in how you're building your park the first 2 rounds, because if you can't put your park entrance 2 spaces away from where it was originally, you get a dead tile that you have to pretty much use a movement to go through to get to anything else. So it's gross. You don't want to do that.
And so what that does, so for the first 3 rounds, you've been moving from that welcome center that's right at the beginning of your board. And so you're building up a lot of boredom on those tiles that are nearby. And so this lets you change where your Jeep tour will start to the other side of the board and maybe start using those tiles a little bit more,
Yep.
which is nice. And then you just go to the next round and start with the higher workers.
Well, you got to roll the dice.
We do need new dice.
We do need some more DNA. And then we just start all over. So we take 3 of the worker database cards in turn order. You pick the workers that you want. And then you start with the public actions again. And you just keep doing that each round until 5 rounds are complete.
Whoever has the most points wins. There's only 2 things that you can get points from at the end of the game. And that is how much money you have. You get a point for every $5 you end the game with.
And then the fun one.
And then you look at the number of deaths that everyone has.
So let's say at the end of the game, I had 0 deaths. I may have had a pretty boring park, or I was very lucky. There was one game I had 4 T-Rexes, and for many, many turns,
Let's give you a casualty.
Fine. And in every time I would bring people into the T-Rex paddock, I would roll the red dice and have no casualties. So my T-Rexes were very well behaved until that 3rd one came along, and then he ate multiple people. It's chance. It's totally by chance of how you roll the dice. So to figure out threat and how many points you're going to lose on it, you count how many threat you have.
I have 6.
Whoever has the least numbers of casualties, I'm calling them threats, they're casualties. Whoever has the least number of casualties discards them all. So in this case, I had 1, I have less than him, so I discard my 1 casualty. Everybody else also gets to discard 1 casualty.
Discards the same amount that they discarded.
Yeah.
Then you count them up and look at this handy dandy chart. So 5 casualty, I would lose 5 points. And so it can get really gross if you have a lot of casualties.
Norm had a game where he had, 13 casualties?
I think I had 13 casualties.
And so this only goes up to 10. So if you have 10 casualties, you lose 15 points. And then from there on out, every additional casualty you have over 10, you lose 3 additional points. So he lost 19 points.
It was a lot.
So he lost the game.
So I decided that game I was going to play fast and loose with my dinosaurs. I was not upping my security, and I was buying all these huge things because I was like, I don't need to have a safe park. I just need to have a safer park than other people.
And it bit him in the tail.
We were playing with our neighbors, and she built a park where she was getting points by collecting DNA and storing it into a vault for points. And so
I don't think she had a single dinosaur.
Zero. She got dinosaurs. Never took people on a tour to see them. They were like, we heard that there were dinosaurs at this park, but they won't let us see them. So she had 0 casualties. So every casualty that I was collecting, I was keeping at the end of the game, where I was counting on getting rid of some of them. I knew I was going to have the most casualties, but I didn't think that there was going to be somebody with 0 casualties.
And before we did the final scoring, point-wise, he was well ahead of
so
everybody.
far ahead. I had so many dinosaurs.
It was crazy how far ahead he was. And then he lost 19 points. And I think I ended up winning that game. That's the first game I had won of this, but I ended up winning because I had a good balance, I think, of dinosaurs and special attractions. And so
we didn't explain how the objectives work, because that's some additional scoring that you can achieve during the game. And there's objective A, which deals with dinosaurs. And so you'll flip these over, and so everyone will see what these are at the beginning of the game.
And you just get one from each pile at random.
And so in this case, it's eight herbivores.
So you need 8 individual herbivore dinosaurs in your park. The first person to achieve that can automatically say, I've got it.
Yeah, as soon as you get it, you'll take your marker and you'll cover up the first spot. In this case, first spot, you immediately get 5 points. And so I would cover that up. And then if the next person to do it would get 3, the third person to do it would get 1.
So in a 4-player game, someone's not getting it. But again, other people may not get it.
The objective B, is for building types. And buildings have a little icon in the corner. So this requires 5 different buildings of these various types. And the first person to get it gets 6 points, and then 3, and then 1. And objective C is usually a grab bag. This one is having 20 total DNA in your storage.
Doesn't
5
matter
points,
what type.
3 points, 1 point.
Just a total of 20.
So you might want to be like, I'm going to hold off on building dinosaurs so I can get the DNA up to 20.
Build dinosaurs. We create them.
So
you can't build a dinosaur. Well, it's not a machine.
It's
you create.
Amino acids are building blocks of the body. So you can keep those in mind as you're building out. You might be like, I've already got 4 of those 5 buildings. I wasn't planning on building a herbivore paddock, but you know what? I'll go ahead and buy this just to throw it off into the corner. I might never put a dinosaur in it, but now I've got the 5, so I can claim that for 6 points before somebody else can.
Yep.
And so that's how the objectives work for points.
And you get those points immediately as soon as you claim that objective. So that's how you play the game. That's how you get points. That's Dinosaur World. So what do you like about it?
What do I like about it?
Put that paddock back. You never got that paddock.
That was my paddock. That's what got me those.
No, you
6
can't
points.
do that.
I think my favorite thing about this game is the fact that you pick your workers at the beginning of the round, but then you've got 3 different time periods to use those in. So, like a lot of times I'll put my workers down where I'm planning on using them
at the start. So yeah, as soon as we get our workers, we immediately place them on our personal, what are they called? Is it personal?
The
private actions. So we immediately put workers down where we want to perform private actions. We put them down on our Jeeple tours where we know our hope is to go. And then we see what we have left to then do public actions.
And so it might be like, okay, I want to make these 2 dinosaurs. And then it's like, okay, I don't have the DNA for it. So it's like, okay, I'm going to have to send these 3 guys to go do that. And so you've got to plan ahead, because if you use up all your workers in the public actions, you've got no private actions.
You're not doing any private, and you're not doing any actions on your tours unless you've got dinosaurs that
use them all
you can take
in your
people
private.
to see.
Well, then you can show people some dinosaurs, but you're not activating any of your special buildings for anything. And so you've got this puzzle of how best am I going to use these workers and accomplish everything that I want at the same time.
Yep. So you really have to strategize on that and plan it out. What else do you like? Is that the main thing?
That's the main thing. I do like the look of the game. It is kind of bright and pastelish, the color scheme, but I think it kind of fits with the theme park part of it.
Yep.
Where everything's bright and happy and cheery, and oh, by the way, people are dying. It's very
It's a
much
dinosaur park.
It seems very much like a Jurassic Park kind of thing, where
It's
it's
not
like
a Jurassic
we're
Park.
gonna hide the ugly behind all the glitz.
So, yeah, I
What
agree
do
with
you
you.
like?
I agree with you. I like, I like the, I like strategizing how I'm going to use my meeples. I think that's my favorite part of the game. So figuring all that out. So having a plan and then figuring out how to make that plan come to fruition. So I've got all these paddocks. I want to build dinosaurs. I look at the objectives. How do I get that? Am I even going to worry about those? So I like the strategy involved in this game.
Yeah, you'll have to think. It's like, okay, if I want to make 2 dinosaurs, well, then that turn, if I make 2 more dinosaurs, my threat level's going up 6. At most, I can get my security level up 3 by putting three people down here. Maybe 4 if I get a bonus. So it's like, okay,
Maybe I need to buy a security tile.
yeah, I might need to go ahead and get that to put here, which means that this yellow guy needs to go to activate that in here, which means I'm spending $1 more there, which means, okay, I need to get the money, so I'm going to put this guy here for the money. And so you've got to like plan this
Yep.
all out.
I like to have my final plan and then work backwards. So, and again, you're going to have to change it up because you want to build 2 dinosaurs. You don't have the DNA. You're not going to be able to get the DNA. Okay, so I'm only going to build 1 this turn.
So what else? What else can I do?
Let's go ahead and go hard on getting that DNA so that the next round I can build 2, possibly 3 if I have enough. So I'm already looking at my paddocks of where I want to build dinosaurs. Okay, if I want to build 3 dinosaurs, I need 3 yellow, 3 blue, 2 orange, and a purple. So I need to figure out how to get that if I want to do those 3 dinosaurs. So just the puzzle of strategizing and putting it all into place is what I enjoy about the game.
That being said, the one private action of DNA refinement, I don't really like doing that.
Yep.
That feels, all these others, you're like accomplishing something. The DNA refinement is kind of,
You're losing something to gain something.
it's just there when these dice don't come up the way that you need them to. Because you would much rather spend the blue scientist up here to get the DNA plus a basic or an advanced, depending on what you need. You use the blue guy down here, you're just getting a basic as a bonus. And you're just converting what you have into something else.
Right.
You're
not
not
gaining
really
more.
gaining much.
And there's certain tiles in the specialty tiles that actually give you the opportunity to acquire more DNA. So for instance, the DNATM, it gives you, just by going to it and activating it with a green meeple, it automatically gives you 2 standard DNA. You can trade in points to get specialty DNA if you want. And then there's other tiles that will also, you can spend money to get DNA. There's different ways to acquire DNA throughout the game without having to go to that DNA refinement. I agree with you. I don't think I've ever gone there.
I think I've gone there once in one game, and that was when we rolled the dice, and they were all basic DNAs, no special DNAs, and I needed some special DNA, so I sent somebody to DNA refinement.
Yep.
But it wasn't because that was a good spot to go to. It was a spot I had to go to because the randomness just didn't come out right. And there is that random factor of the dice rolling, of what DNA you get, what casualties you get. And so you have to be willing to accept that. It almost feels like there should have been something a little bit stronger about the DNA refinement part, where you don't feel like, oh, I'm going there because my turn didn't go the way that I wanted it to, so I have to go there. Like all these others, if I have an extra worker, I might be like, you know what, I'm going to throw these 2 last workers into security, spend the money to get my security level up, or I might get my Jeep up because maybe I'll get up to the 7 points. It's like, it's worth it to do these other things. Oh, I'll put the guy in the BC funding for some extra money because I can use that money.
I have found
the DNA refinement never gives you anything to where it's like, okay, I'm going to do that because that's going to put me in a better spot for next turn.
I have found that I will always, on every private action, I will always move my Jeeple up. So I will always reserve a purple meeple to always go there. and move my Jeeple up because I want those bonuses. I want to be able to go further on my tour because I want to get better tiles that are going to give me better excitement. So I will always focus on my tour. I will always focus on security and making sure that goes up. Um, I find that when I play, I struggle having enough DNA because that's not a main focus for me. I've also wonder how people can get to over 100 points. So we've gone over 50 before and maybe halfway through 50. I don't know how people
Yeah, I got halfway through 50, and then my casualties
and then
pulled me
lost
right
20
back
some.
down
So he
under.
went right under 50 very quickly. I don't know how your security goes over 20. I don't know how your threat goes over 20. We haven't experienced enough. I don't know how you get all that done in 5 rounds. So we're trying to figure that out.
There is an alternative in the book that says that if you want a longer game, after you do the 5th round, just do another round and then score. And so the 5th round isn't the end.
So I don't even know how 6 rounds get you that high. So again, we've played it quite a lot. We've played it with 2-player, 3-player, and 4-player. So we've had a good feel of the different. I find that I don't know if it was just my game, but I went over 50 points when we played 4-player. It seemed that it was a higher scoring game at 4. So I'm just morphing straight into things I don't like because I think we've covered everything we like. I don't like the game at 2 players. I find it very boring. The first time we played it was 2-player, and I found it boring. I didn't enjoy the game. We played that quite a few times to get comfortable with it. We had some friends over. We played it 4-player, and I really enjoyed it at 4-player. Then we had my sister come over. We played it at 3. I enjoyed it at 3, but I think the sweet spot for me is 4-player for this game.
Interesting, because I don't feel that much of a difference between the player counts. Because other than here, it doesn't feel like you're affected by the other players that much. Somebody might buy the building that you want, or they might take the die that you want, but the more players there are, the more dice there are as well. So
maybe it's just boring playing with you.
It could be.
That could be it.
I could just be a bore.
But I did not enjoy the game for the first time until we played it at 4-player. And then either the next day my sister came over, we played it at 3, and I enjoyed it, but not as much as I did at 4. But I didn't really enjoy any of the times we played it at 2-player. I found it boring. So maybe now that I've enjoyed it a few times, maybe we need to play it again at 2 to see if it's still there. Because maybe I just needed enough experience with plays to finally have it click in my head to enjoy the game. So we're still figuring it out. So for me, the 4-player is the sweet spot that I enjoyed the most.
I think one thing that I had to get my head around is that excitement is not super important, because other than the fact that money, $5 turns into a point, excitement doesn't really turn into points, other than it's just income. So
But income's important.
So like I might not always want to go and show people these dinosaurs, because showing people dinosaurs just builds excitement. I got the points for building the dinosaurs, and that's how you win the game, is with points. And so I might build more dinosaurs, and last round of the game, it's like I'm only getting a couple excitement, which is only going to get me a couple bucks, which isn't going to give me another point. So,
but you have to roll that dice.
I don't want to roll the die for casualties, so we're just going to avoid these dinosaurs, because
that last tour, poor guys, poor people paying for that tour, they're getting nothing.
And that seems a little weird, a little bit of a disconnect, where it's like,
that's not really in line.
I want to show the people the dinosaurs, and you should get some points. And there are some tiles in here that are special. Here's 2 of them. So it's a special attraction, a Triceratops ring toss. And so it's a spot where it has a formula where you can build a Triceratops, and it's a place where kids can go and throw rings on the horns of a Triceratops. Or the Raptor Culinary Experience. You can put a Velociraptor here, and when you activate it, people can watch a velociraptor cut up vegetables. And
there's one for the T-Rex as well, jet skis.
so the T-Rex rides a jet ski. I
don't like those tiles just because they're not. I mean, granted, it's Dinosaur World. We don't have dinosaurs yet that we can create in a lab, but we're not. A T-Rex isn't going to ride a jet ski.
You just got to train it.
Yeah,
give it a hand signal.
I love dinosaurs too much to. That's a bit ridiculous to me.
So I like these tiles because you get a large amount of points when you activate these.
You do.
So every time you activate the Raptor culinary experience, it starts out with 3 excitement because the raptor,
who doesn't want to see a raptor cook,
raptor's
right?
cooking. But you have to roll the die for them. Oh, and somebody died in the chaos of cooking.
In cooking, that raptor got hungry.
You get 5 points and an immediate threat every time you activate this. And it also, building the raptor doesn't give you any points when you first build them. So you have to send people here to get those points. But if you can activate it multiple times, you're getting 5
You're getting a lot of points for those. Yep, that's true.
So the first raptor that you build in the raptor spot is 2 points. If I can build the raptor here instead, it's not any points immediately, but when I go there, it's 5 points instead of the 2.
And the T-Rex jet ski gives you 6 points every time you go there, but you have to use the security guy to activate the tile.
So it seems like that's a pretty good way of getting some points, but it's also a very good way of building up threat quickly and rolling a die for more casualties. That's how I got so many casualties in my park. But man, it was exciting.
It was a cool park. So is there anything else you don't like?
This is kind of a weird one. The variety of tiles isn't great.
Mm-hmm.
You see a lot of the same tiles, but like reading, this is not the Kickstarter version. This is just the retail version, and the Kickstarter version comes with like 6 additional tiles or something like that. And there's some expansions that add more tiles. And reading about those, people were like, they're okay, but then they dilute this pile. So the tiles that I'm complaining about seeing multiples of, all of a sudden become like, I'm not finding that tile. You know, where's that T-Rex jet ski I want? And so, you know, I don't know. It's kind of a balancing act. Anytime you have these games with a deck of cards or a stack of tiles, whenever you add in it with an expansion more, then you're diluting the tiles that were there at the beginning. And so then those show up, and that might cause all kinds of weird balance issues where it was like, okay, that was balanced because everybody had the opportunity to get one of those in the game. And now one might show up and the others won't, kind of a thing. And so I don't know. I like more variety, but I don't know that diluting these piles would actually help the game. So I think the game plays well where it is. So I don't know. I feel like I want more, but that seems like that would be more work on the designer's side to get it balanced.
Get it balanced, right? All right. Shall we score it? Or do you want to talk about anything else?
Well, I looked into the Kickstarter version. If you watched the latest thrift store finds where I talked about Dinosaur World, I got it for under $25, and I did mention that Game Nerds, not a sponsor. They have the Kickstarter version. Last time I looked, they had 9 copies of it for $40 some. It was under $50. And it adds those new tiles like I talked about, and it gives you metal coins, which I really like. But you also get the dinosaur are less shaped. Like these have the cool dinosaur arms, and you can see the tongue of the guy sticking out and the legs. Theirs is more of like a blob, but it has a screen printed picture of a dinosaur on it. I kind of like these.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would want screen printed. And so the only benefit would be the metal coins, but I don't know that this game, I haven't felt like I needed metal coins to make this game feel better.
These are a bit difficult to manage. So the
Those
tiny
tiles
little,
are so tiny.
these little tiles that you change. Norm found he's got all kinds of different size dice, and he had a small one that he used, and he just put it on there and just changed it 1, 2, 3.
Instead of having to throw away the 1 and dig through here for 2.
And these can stick to your finger, and then you lose them. They fall on the floor. They're not very easy to manage.
The die, you just roll it from 1 to 2. So
everything else on this game,
everything
on this game is fine as it is, except these tiny little boredom.
Yeah, so this might be the first game where it's like, God, the Kickstarter version, I don't care, and expansions, maybe if I find a good deal on them, I might try them, but I don't feel the need for anything other than the retail version.
All right, let's score it.
All right, 0 to 7 is our baseline for design, rules, how the game plays. If there's any weird gameplay things that we don't like, what do you think?
Gameplay, how it's designed. I will give it a 6.
Okay.
Biggest knock is for these boredom token tile, whatever they are. I mean, look, just trying to find one, I've got 5 stuck to my hand. So I don't like that. Everything else I'm okay with. These little arrow tokens are a little bit sometimes hard to manage and keep up with, but it's not a huge deal breaker. I mean, it's not a deal breaker for me. But other than that, I give it a 6.
Okay, I would give it the 7. I do agree. I don't like the boredom tiles. I played with the dice once, but then like every time we introduced new people to it, I would go ahead and just use the little tiles, and it wasn't a huge pain. It was like, this could be better. These, like she said, these little arrows could be better, but I mean they function.
They function.
So I think the gameplay loop of getting the workers, using them here, using them here, using them here is really nice. I like. And
keeping the game. I mean, you just these little 2 things in front of you. It's everything you need
really
to play the game. It tells you how to set up. It tells you how to start. Tells you the actions of everything.
Public, private.
Yep, and then the scoring. Everything is in these 2 tiny little, and they're readable. So other games you have the little player aids, and you can't read them. Some of the writing is so small. Maybe it's just because I have older eyes, but some are just really hard to read. They're color coordinated, which is nice. So the player aids are really good in this game.
Yes, I'll give it the 7.
Okay. All right, next scoring.
The wow factor is the 0 to 3, and that completes the 10-point scale.
I'm giving it a 1.
A 1.
Yeah. So it's a 7 overall for me. Again, I'm going to have to play it again at 2 players to see how I really feel about it. I didn't enjoy the first handful of games we played at 2 player. 4 player, it kept my interest. 3 player, I started to lose a little bit of interest, but not as much as a 2 player. So I don't know why, but it's not my favorite game for sure.
I'm going to give it a 1 as well. So that'll make it an 8 for me, because I enjoy this game. I think maybe the one kind of weird disconnect is that the setup, all of this laid out here, kind of makes it feel like it should be a heavier game than it is.
Yeah, and it's not heavy at all, which is nice.
It does have, it has this meaty puzzle to it, but it's pretty simple. You get a choice of these actions, and then after you're done with that, you get a choice of these actions, and then after that, you get a choice of these actions. So it divides everything up into to nice
very
chunks.
Manageable.
But it feels like it could be a little bit meatier, just from the look of it. If you place this out in front of people, they might be a little bit intimidated at first.
Yeah, my sister made that comment when we were setting it up. It is a table hog for sure. When she saw us setting all of this up, she goes, "Oh, this is a lot." And then that was her first comment when the game was over. She enjoyed it, said she wanted to play it again, but she said the game looked a lot more complicated than it actually was.
Yeah, she was surprised at how easy it is to play.
Mm-hmm. And it's pretty easy to teach. Again, these player aids are incredibly well put together.
I kind of like the games that take the gameplay and divide it into chunks instead of being like, here's 20 things that you have to think about,
and you can do them all at any time.
It's more like, okay, just think about this right now. All right, now think about this. Now think about this.
Yeah.
And it also divides it up into chunks for planning ahead, where it's like, okay, I want to do this, so I need to do this. So in order to do that, I need to do this, instead of trying to look at the whole thing and being like, where do I start?
Right, it's not overwhelming.
So it's real easy teach, pretty simple play. I'm giving it an 8 out of 10. She's giving it a 7 out of 10.
Yeah. So are we keeping it?
I say yes, at least for now.
I'm indifferent. So he's going to override. We definitely need to play this with our son. He's, I think, coming over tomorrow to play. So we'll play with him. And if he really enjoyed it, I'd be fine letting him keep it in his collection. It doesn't need, as far as I'm concerned, it doesn't need to stay in ours. Not anything against the game. It's just not my favorite.
Yeah, I think he's probably the deciding factor. If he likes it and would want to play it, I'd keep it for him. Maybe keep it around if there were other people who might find the theme interesting, because it's more the theme of this is more what I would want to show people.
Yeah, for sure.
To be like,
for
hey,
sure.
You want to build your own dinosaur park? This is the game for you. A little bit of a message for the designers, maybe in a future expansion. I haven't played this solo, but reading the solo, there is a mechanic in there where the dinosaurs in your park can escape and cause havoc. That would be something
That'd be
cool
interesting, yeah.
In a multiplayer game where it's like, okay, I'm doing such and such, and it's like, oh crap, my Gigantosaurus got out. So I don't know exactly how it's implemented in the solo. Like I said, I haven't played it, but something like that. You've already got the randomness of when people are getting eaten. Maybe have a randomness of what happens when a dinosaur gets out loose in your park.
Dun, dun, dun.
And have it just have the excitement of loose dinosaurs running around. So I don't know if they're ever going to come up with more expansions for this, but please, more chaos, more death.
More chaos. So that's Dinosaur World. That's what we think of it for now. It's gonna stay. I'm fine with it not staying, but for now he says it stays, so it stays. What do you think about it? Have you played it? What are your thoughts on it? Do you have anything you like, dislike about it? Let us know in the comments. If you've gotten the expansions and you think it really changes the play of the game, let us know that too, so we can maybe be on the lookout for it.
Yeah, if there's one in particular that you think really elevates gameplay, let us know. I'd like to try that out.
Yep. And so I'll play a few more times at 2 players to see if my opinion changes any, and so we'll,
because that'll be big, because we play a lot of our games 2-player,
right,
and then occasionally with more people. So if this becomes enjoyable at 2, then it might stay a little bit longer.
Yeah. If a game doesn't play well at 2, for the most part we don't keep it, because we play at 2-player more than not. So okay, thanks for following along with us as we're going through all of our collection. We did, from the last video, pull a random game that we're playing to give the next review on, and until then we wanted to throw this out there, and who knows what else we're going to be throwing out there before we get to that one. But stick around, follow us, and we'll keep you posted on it. All right. Anything else?
I think that's it.
That's it. So we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye.